you guys? It's Maddie and Sarah.
Today we are starting our back to school series, and I know people hate it's like, oh, back to school, but we know like some people go back earlier, so we're gonna go ahead and start it earlier.
And we're trying to make it fun, do a bunch of different kinds of videos. Our first video is advice to underclassmen.
So let's get started.
Tip number 1 is to just make friends with your teachers and get on their good side. It seems kind of lame, like, oh hey, my teacher's my best friend, but like really, like, if you can joke around with your teachers, chances are that you'll get better grades, or at least they'll help you more than they do other students. Like this year I had a teacher, and on my test every time I would put a joke on it, and I would always ask him if he enjoyed the joke, and he was always like yes. And I remember one day I went in there and I was like, I can't fail this test, and he was like, I promise you won't. And I was like
Tip number 2 is to get into a schedule. And I'm not just saying like, obviously you're gonna have a schedule for your classes, but like your morning schedule, your night schedule, your sleep schedule. Make sure you have a good sleep schedule, or you'll honestly hate everything, I promise. Like, I remember I would just stay up to like text people, and don't do that. Like, do not stay up for somebody else. You're gonna see them all day at school, and then you can text until you go to bed. Don't stay up later than what you usually go to sleep, like the time that you usually go to sleep, because it's not gonna be worth it in the end. And like, make sure you have a good morning routine. Don't press the alarm a billion times, because when you fall back asleep and then wake up, you're even more tired because you interrupted your normal sleep cycle. So make sure you're in a very good routine and you're not just like giving up things just because you think it'll be better, because I promise it won't.
And make sure that you set a time to do your homework and stuff, because if you do it at different times in the day, like, you probably won't get it done whenever you want to. Like, my time to do my homework is right before I go to bed, because it just like gets my mind turning, like, it helps me remember more stuff whenever you do that, because then you're thinking about it as you go to sleep. So just make sure that you have set blocks whenever you do everything, and do that every day.
And don't, like, if you get homework on Monday and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this right after I have dinner, and then the next day you're like, well, I kind of just want to get on the computer. Don't do that. Just do it and get it done.
And try to carry out your sleeping schedule even during the weekends.
Yeah.
Because then when Monday comes back around, if you wake up at 6, you're not going to want to if you like wake up at 10 on the weekends. Tip number 3, there's nothing embarrassing about going to tutorials. What's even more embarrassing to me is keeping on getting like 50s on everything just because you were too lazy to go in and ask for help. Because like a lot of the times during class time, if you ask your teacher for help, they're not going to help you because they have so many other things that they have to do. So if you just go before or after school, your teacher will help you and you will understand it better. And I promise you're not going to be the only one, so don't think it's this big embarrassing thing, because it really isn't.
Tip number 4. This is mainly for freshmen, but it's also kind of for sophomores who aren't like exactly in the high school routine yet. Don't be afraid of high school. It is not that bad. Don't stress about high school, especially freshman year. Freshman year is very easy, and the teachers are going to try and help you get into the high school schedule. So don't think that you're just going to go in and get everything thrown on you, because I promise it's not like that.
And I remember I was always scared, like, oh, that senior is going to push me to the locker
or in the trash can.
Yeah, but most of the time the upperclassmen kind of just don't really like pay attention in that aspect. They talk to them usually, but not in a bad manner. Yeah. Like, I mean, it seems scary, like, oh, I'm 8th grade top dog going down to be a fishy, or going up but down at the same time to be a fishy, but like really it's not that big of a deal, and as you go on you'll figure out that it's not as scary as you thought it was. So don't go in thinking it's going to be terrible, because it'll make it terrible for you.
Yeah, and especially if you go to a big school, like we don't really know about that very well because there's like 200 kids in our high school all together, and that can actually be more scarier when you're in a smaller school, because you're going to see the upperclassmen all the time. But if you go to a big school, you're probably never gonna see the upperclassmen, especially if you don't have classes with them.
Tip number 5. There's nothing wrong with choosing one thing that you're good at and just sticking to that one thing. Like, say your school has one act play, cheerleading, basketball, football, whatever. If you only like one act play, but you feel like you have to do everything, then you're not going to put everything you have into what you really enjoy. So don't spread yourself too thin. As Ron Swanson would say, don't half-ass 5 things, full-ass 1 thing. Like, and also don't be afraid to try new things. Like, you might think you might hate something, but then it'll end up being your favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like me, I was the mascot and I thought I was gonna hate it, but as it grew on me and I really enjoyed it, so.
Never just don't do something because you think you'll hate it, because a lot of things like one act play or even just theater, ag, musical classes, you can do so many different things with them. Like, you don't have to just do one act play if you're in theater. You can do a musical or whatever. You know, you can find your own thing within a big program. Tip number 6 is kind of like what we've already talked about, but don't procrastinate homework. Because you're gonna get home, and especially for me, my last period of the day was a computer class, and if we had free time, we got to play games. So when I came home, I just wanted to get back on the computer. But I don't suggest doing that because you'll just spend all day on the computer and you won't want to get off. And it'll come 10 o'clock and you'll be like, crap, I haven't done my homework.
Tip number 7. Pay attention to grades, but, we got big butts and we cannot lie, do not let them rule your life. There's one thing about wanting to just keep having good grades and do the best that you can, but there's another thing about sitting in the corner having a panic attack because you're afraid of getting a bad grade on something. Grades are important, especially if you want to get into a good college, but if you do the best that you can do, you can be proud of your 60 because you know that it's what you put everything you had into it. So, like, grades aren't as important as trying your best.
Tip number 8 is have me time. Do your best all through the day, and then when you get home, you can just have me time and get on the computer for an hour or so, you know, pamper yourself, like paint your nails, you know, whatever you do that makes you happy. Just have me time after school.
And sometimes even that means just like, oh, tonight I'm gonna take a bubble bath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, set up candles. You know, like, it can be anything that you just don't focus on all this stress that you might be going through in school. Just focus on making yourself happy, because that'll actually change how your performance in school.
Mm-hmm.
If you're happy and you're positive, then your schoolwork and the friends you have, all of that will be affected as well. Tip number 9. You don't have to be friends with everyone. I know going into high school, you just think, okay, that popular table, I'm gonna go sit with them, I'm gonna be friends with all of them, but that doesn't matter. Like, if you don't enjoy the people that you're with, then there's no point in being friends with them. So, like, if you don't want to talk about sports, but you sit with people and that's all they talk about, they're not really your friends, even if you call them your friends. So don't just like be like, oh, I'm gonna be their friend and their friend and their friend. Like, it's good to be like nice to people and be their acquaintances and be their friends, but it's also nice to have 1 or 2 people that you can confide in, rather than being friends with a lot of people and not having anybody that you can just sit down and talk to.
Tip number 10, if you start to stress out, remember that mental health is way more important than school. So if you want to do things to relieve your stress, that's okay. If you just want to jam out in your bedroom and take a break from homework, do it. Or if you want to take a bubble bath, that is so fine. Just draw, write, paint, do whatever makes you happy. Just take a break from your homework or your project or whatever you're doing and just relieve your stress by doing what makes you happy. And if you just look around on the internet, there are some websites that help you relieve stress, and I'll link some down below in the down bar if you want. And it's just so nice to know that you have that backup, that comfort if you start feeling like you're in over your head. Like, there's always something that can help you out. You just have to find what it is.
Tip number 11 is wear what you want. Like, don't care what other people think. Just try your own style. Like, if you want to wear a dress, wear a dress. Like, at first people might be like, why are you dressing so fancy? Just say it's because I want to, and then do it again.
Yeah.
And pretty soon people are going to be like, oh, that's their style. That's what they want to wear. And just rock it.
Yeah.
And even if you fake your confidence at first, pretty soon your confidence will become real, and you can just wear whatever you want.
Because people will stop looking like, why is she wearing a pencil skirt? Or why is she wearing pantyhose? Like, they're just gonna stop eventually because they'll get used to it, and then you'll feel like you can just walk in with whatever you want. And if someone asks you, why are you wearing that at school, say, I paid for it, I'm gonna wear it. Like, literally, you spent money on that and it's in your closet. Like, if your closet is all dresses, wear dresses. Like, that's what you have, that's what you paid for, why wouldn't you wear it? Tip number 12. I know some people don't have Meet the Teacher night after elementary and junior high, but we still do at our high school. So either on that day or before school, go and find your locker and your classes. And if you go on the first day, kind of get there early because you won't really be able to in like the 5 minutes before classes start. So go to your locker, put whatever you want in there, just make sure you know where it is, and then kind of go through your schedule and find your classes, because then on the first day of school you won't be so stressed and you can sleep easy the night before knowing that you know where you're going. This is especially for freshmen.
And also, if you want to, like, especially if you do have a Meet the Teacher night, like, decorate your locker as cute as you want to. Post your schedule in your locker just so you know where you're going, or set it at the background on your phone or something like that, just so you have a set plan.
Put it in the front of your binder, whatever.
And also, if you have your locker all decorated, people are going to be like, oh man, that's a cute locker.
Yeah. Another kind of tip to go with the locker thing is use your locker. Don't take it for granted.
And if you're worried about running out of time between classes, I promise you, you have plenty of time. So don't be afraid, like, oh, everything has to be in my backpack because I'm going to be late to class. Like, you'll have time to go to your locker and grab a book and go to your next class. I'm saying this with a small school. I don't know how big your school is, but still, like, most of the time, 4 minutes is enough.
And even if you live in a bigger city with a bigger school, you probably have more than 4 minutes in between. That's just what we have. And especially if you have the little codes on your locker, we don't have those. I mean, we can put our own on those, but they don't come with them. If you have those on your locker, don't fumble with it and try to go fast, because that's just going to mess you up even more. So just take your time and go through it, and I promise you'll have time. Don't think you have to rush, because then you'll drop things and you'll probably be late if you try to rush.
Or maybe if you have one class that's like right there, so you have time, but you know your next class you're gonna have to go fast, set the first two and then just do the third. And
or if like the first class doesn't have a lot of things and the second class doesn't have a lot of things either, just put them both in your backpack, and then after that second class you can go back to your locker. Also, take advantage of times like before school and at lunchtime, and any teachers that let you go to the bathroom, take that time to go to the bathroom.
Tip number 13 is that junior high is much different than high school. So don't walk in thinking, okay, all my classes are going to be super easy, my reviews are going to be identical to the tests, because they won't. It's not going to be a cakewalk anymore. Like, at least 8th grade was kind of a cakewalk for me, and then I got to freshman year and realized, like, oh, these teachers are taking me seriously. They are wanting me to act like I will when I go to college. They're doing these things for me, and so I can't just blow things off. I need to actually work. And your friends are going to be different, people are going to be different, your teachers are going to be different. It's not the same anymore.
Yeah, so don't just take it, don't stress out about it, but don't take it lightly either. Tip number 14 is carry a planner/calendar. This is going to help you so much. When I was in the 8th grade, I bought one that was like just for homework, and that's fine too, but I suggest getting the ones that have like the full day on it, and write your things down. But don't just write down your homework. Like, if you have one at play or band, or tennis or basketball, any of those practices, go ahead and write those down too, because then you'll know that, okay, this is from this time to this time, and then I can do my homework at this time. So it'll help you get into a schedule.
And also, like, especially if you make lists in your planners, there's something so satisfying about being able to check things
Exactly.
off.
I love making lists.
And we're probably going to do an organization video, so we'll talk more in depth about how to organize your planners and stuff, but they really do help a buttload. Tip number 15. This is more so for girls in general, like, don't do things to impress your crush. So don't be like, okay, I'm gonna wear a V-neck today because I want to impress a boy or girl, whatever. Just, like, there's no point in that. Like, do things, like, wear makeup, do things for you. Yeah.
Like, don't say you like something because they like it, because then if they're like, hey, do you like Fall Out Boy? And you're like, yes, I love Fall Out Boy, but you don't, they're gonna be like, what's your favorite song? And then you're gonna be like, The last tip for today, tip number 16, is take lots of pictures.
And, like, I don't know about y'all, but, like, my memory is not, like, the best. So sometimes I just want to have pictures because, like, oh, I remember this moment faintly, but then you look at a picture and it brings back so many more memories.
Yeah.
Like, right now I have pictures lacing my walls, like Polaroids of all these pictures from mostly high school so far, and they're all just, like, I love looking at them. They make me smile, they make me think about good things. And sometimes if I'm having, like, the worst day ever, I can just go back and look through my pictures, and it makes me so happy.
Thanks for watching our video for advice for underclassmen.
Subscribe, thumbs up, and comment below any other advice that you have for freshmen and even sophomores.
Make sure you comment down below anything else you want to see in our back to school series, and we'll make sure and check it out. Thanks for watching, and see you later.